So I want to pivot from Goldman Sachs betting on athletes to athletes betting on themselves, but not in a good
In a
way.
sense, yes, sure.
Yes, in a
Betting
bad
against
way.
themselves in some case, right? Yeah.
Yes. I'm talking, of course, about the federal indictments brought this past weekend against two Cleveland Guardians pitchers, Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, alleged by the federal government of basically bringing their own pitches so that a few bettors based in the Dominican Republic, according to the indictment released Sunday, could make money on it. And this is the latest sports gambling scandal. And by
Hmm.
latest, I mean like the other one was 2 weeks
Right.
ago.
As of recording, yes. I don't know
Right.
how quickly this is getting out exactly.
Yeah, yeah. This we're gonna try to get this out quickly. Things can change so quickly now. This one is a little bit different because baseball is obviously a little bit different, but Emmanuel Clase is accused by federal prosecutors of colluding with sports bettors to intentionally throw balls on the first pitch of at least 9 pitches and at a certain velocity so that those bettors could win prop bets on him, right? Both on the velocity and the ball strike prop bet. And then Clase bet on himself through bettors as well, according to the indictment, and then also started to work with Luis Ortiz, another Guardians pitcher in this season, the 2025 season, where he was allegedly in on it as well. Important to note, I think Luis Ortiz has denied this through a lawyer, and I think Emmanuel Clase will be making his first appearance in federal court later this week. But what do you make of this, Jacob? And what was your first thought when you heard about this indictment? And we knew there was something fishy going on that neither of those have really pitched since I
Hmm.
believe it was July when MLB put him
Hmm.
on administrative leave. But were you surprised to see the indictments? What was your reaction to it?
Yeah, it was interesting. I wasn't. I guess I'd say I was not surprised. One of the things that jumped out, I think people were surprised by how low some of the financial figures were in terms of what they were getting paid to rig these pitches, and I think that goes to a misunderstanding, as far as I understand it, with the legal process in terms of the prosecutors are really going to only allege certain wrongdoings that they can then prove, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's all of the wrongdoing. That I think was one of the things that was interesting to me, and it goes to point out that I think rapidly fans and the media and consumers in general are going to start to understand this a lot better. But initially, there's always it seems to be a lot of uh, misunderstanding, hyperbole. Uh, Paranoia, conspiracy around these things, and it's fascinating to kind of see that play out in real time. And I think these court cases will likely go on for years, and I think we'll kind of get a better sense of just how widespread these things were. But right now, you could reasonably say, okay, this was two people. The technology caught them very quickly. This is a sign of the system working. Or I think you can right now believe, oh, this is going on everywhere. These are just the only ones they could prove, and I can't take anything seriously right now. And I think you could again reasonably hold either of those things in your mind, and I don't know at what point we'll kind of have certainty in terms of which one is more accurate.
Yeah, I mean, from now on, next season, every time there's a first pitch
Right.
ball in the dirt,
Yeah.
I mean, I think fans, yeah, understandably so, would now be like, "Wait, was that real? Like, was that on purpose?" And that's kind of what it's done to baseball, right? Like, that's what the
Yeah.
indictments have done to the NBA. The gambling
Right. I was
indictments
gonna say we've
there.
already seen that like days after the Terry Rozier indictment comes out. As soon as there's a late basket in a meaningless game that crosses the total across the spread or anything like that, you have people instantly pointing it out. And again, without any real conviction or evidence that there was any kind of malicious intent there.
Yeah,
But it goes to just exactly what you're saying of well, once there's a couple of these, it's very hard to protect the credibility of the game, if not the integrity of it.
yeah. I mean, baseball moved with the sports books that it works with to make sure that prop bets on pitches like ball strike prop bets and velocity prop bets, you can't bet more than $200 on it.
Hmm.
That they can't be part of parlays, which is again two of the things that were alleged to have done by the people working with Emmanuel Clase, who have not been charged. Clase and Ortiz have been charged. It. I'm going to ask like almost the same thing when the NBA worked with sportsbooks to like ban under bets on prop bets for two-way players. Like, is that
Right.
enough? Does that restore enough confidence? Like, there seems like baseball, especially, which is so individualized, has a lot of questions related to how it can kind of gamble proof itself.
Yeah, these responses are fascinating to me because it does seem like the leagues are talking out of both sides of their mouth. On one hand, they're saying, well, look, we caught these guys because betting is legal. It's a good thing this is out in the public. It's a good thing that we can track these bets. And then at the same time, they're saying, okay, these bets we should actually move back to black markets. We shouldn't have these be tracked. We should not make it possible for us to be able to follow the money in these situations. It's better if these don't exist in the public markets. Like, it seems like a very fine line you're walking in terms of it's worth having these bets and not have those bets available. And I am curious to see kind of what pushback we see over time, or maybe it does, ultimately make sense that, like, okay, yeah, we can actually have a certain quantity of bet types that are reasonable to protect and don't, involve enough multiple people such that they can't be rigged. And then we have this other group that we're just going to ignore and pretend never happened. Maybe that is the ultimate equilibrium we get to.
Yeah, you talk to some people who run sportsbooks. They say, well, like rigged games have always existed. You just couldn't
Mhm.
catch them before, which I
Mhm.
guess is a double-edged sword for sports leagues because now that you can catch them, you get a lot of
Right. That
heat
is not an
for it.
argument you'll hear a commissioner say, I don't think. Yeah.
No, and even in the NBA gambling indictment, if I remember, at least one of those bets was placed at a illegal sports book, right? So it's not as if that isn't something they have been doing so far.
Mhm.